Question 13 is a 10-mark question which asks the students to describe a government intervention relating to alcohol consumption and the effectiveness of this intervention. Just draw attention back to the rubric again, where students will need to show their knowledge and understanding of the health issue that we're talking about. Students will also need to provide examples in their answer, and they also need to do this in a clear and logical way. So that's some things that we need to revisit each time we answer these questions in an exam situation. The terms that we're looking at here is a description. So firstly, again, this has been a common verb for us to look at in question 11A, 11B and 13. And we're asking you to provide characteristics and features of, and those features need to be relevant to a government intervention which relates to alcohol. Right, so there's a number of areas in which that students could take this answer, but it needs to be a government intervention, something that comes between ill health, or helps to promote promote health for people, and it has to relate to alcohol. The second part of the question asks you to look at the effectiveness of this intervention. So after the description is made, then the effectiveness of this intervention needs to be evaluated by the students. The area of the syllabus that it comes from, the dot point that we're looking at is what's the strategies help to promote the health of individuals. You could talk about the relevance of the health promotion dot point and the responsibility for health promotion, and we're looking specifically in this question that of the government. So students, through the description the various health promotion roles and responsibilities adopted by individuals, groups and governments, how does that relate back to a person's individual health? The better students in this answer were able to present answers that replicated this type of answer. This is a 9 out of 10. What it does initially is it shows us a government intervention. So it discusses what a government intervention is. It relates to alcohol, and the government intervention is driving and the laws that are related to that, in specifics to L&P plate drivers in Australia. So already there's an intervention that's been presented. It's done in a clear way. You can see the highlighting that's presented around the answer, which through the discussion of the intervention, through things like that, it talks about zero alcohol tolerance. It provides some evidence which backs up how the intervention has helped to promote health. So it's not only discussed the intervention in the introduction, but it's then gone into, the student's done a good job at discussing, providing evidence to back up what he has said through the introduction of this intervention, how it has impacted on health of Australians. He's provided examples of stats, but he's presented them in a way that they are a trend. So you don't need to put in specific statistics, you can talk about trends. The intervention has been discussed in the first section. The evaluation, or looking at the effectiveness, has been discussed at the conclusion of this particular answer. So he's presented in a clear way, presented a good intervention and discussed that one intervention. Another answer we can have a look at. Let's bring that up. If we have a look at this answer, they've spoken about another government intervention, definitely a government intervention about the taxes that are placed on drinks. So we can see here that the student has talked about the taxes of alcoholic beverages and looked at how that has changed and impacted on the use of particular types of alcohol. The government has introduced the taxes, which has made it more expensive for people to use certain types of alcohol. I think it was classified as the Alcopops tax. It was fairly controversial when it was introduced, but again you can see that the intervention has been discussed, and then towards the conclusion, the evaluation has been done, or looked at the effectiveness, and they've used some information to back up the fact that the individuals increased physical and mental health through this intervention. Better students were able to discuss an intervention and not be clouded by talking about 3 or 4 different interventions. Through an effective description of that intervention, they then made a good evaluation, or looked at the effectiveness of that intervention. It related to alcohol. Some of the confusion arose through the advertising programs. A lot of people spoke about advertising and being an intervention. The advertising was a part of that intervention, so you needed to look a little bit deeper into that. So if you just mentioned advertising as being an intervention, you would not have got full marks. You needed to talk about a specific government intervention that may have used advertising as a means to get across that intervention.